Welcome to episode 15 of We Have Issues. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Stevie Wildcard.
Every week,
sticking with it.
Every week, Stevie Wildcard and I get together and we talk about our latest attempt at making something in the world. This time, it is a semi-autobiographical time travel graphic novel musical, and we're working really hard on it. We've been making a lot of progress. Steve and I have been trying to make comics together for over a decade, well over a decade at this point. Something has always gotten in the way, but this time we are dedicated, we're trying our best, and we're keeping ourselves accountable with this podcast. And so far, it's going okay.
It's been going awesome. I wish I could produce the pages more, but it's at the very least, we're making progress every week. There's not like this dead, like length of time where nothing's getting done. So,
yeah, it's funny because like any amount of progress feels better. Like now I definitely have a little bit extra push on me because I feel the accountability of the podcast every week. Like I know I'm gonna have to talk to you, so I know that I have to be able to be like, well, Steven, I didn't like this week for instance, I didn't get all the work done that I wanted to get to. However, I'm not a complete failure. Like I wrote a solid paragraph, Steven. Like, okay, when you're talking about a graphic novel, though, right? It's gonna take up at least 2 pages. The thing I wrote, so I didn't segment it off in 2 pages yet, but it's a solid paragraph. I'm really proud of it, and it's at least 2 pages, so it's pretty good. I want to do better. I'm not super proud, but I didn't fail completely, and that's probably because of this podcast. Because if I didn't have to sit here right now, I wouldn't have forced myself to do that yesterday through all the nonsense I went through. So you also didn't do as well this week?
No, but I did get all the blues done, and I have about half the pencils done.
Let's show the blues / pencils. Right there where I am. I don't. So those are the blues or pencils that Steven did. This is my paragraph.
You can't read it because it's going to go by too quickly.
You can. I don't know. That's the funniest thing about what I'm doing. I'm just like, well, no one. I can just lie all the time. I don't lie.
I can confirm for them.
Like, yeah, there's nothing. Happening. There's no way anyone knows whether or not I've ever written anything. In fact, I don't know how to read. I could just be illiterate, and it's okay.
You've been in all these writing communities on Twitter, and it's just all been this huge farce. Like it's just not real.
It's true. It could be. Dear Twitter writing community.
He's actually the penciler this whole time.
Yeah, I've been drawing this whole time. I've been the artist. Steven's the writer. We're just both embarrassed about what we do, so we flip flop.
So that way, neither one of us ever has to take claim or credit for how well we're doing.
Last week, we announced that we're going to have a Kickstarter this coming March. How do you feel about that? Are you excited?
I'm nervous because I want to have enough artwork done. But I think I will. I think by the time March comes around, there's going to be at least half the book's going to be done with art. So
right. So this is the way I look at it is if we were to pitch to a publisher, on average, of course, I want to see the most amount you can do. But like Image and Dark Horse, they average about asking for, I think it's about 11 pages of sequential art finished, of your book before you pitch or, to pitch to them. So I figure as long as we have at least that pitching to the public and saying, look, this is what we're doing. We have this podcast to show you that we're doing our best to stay accountable and we will finish this thing. I think that that's fair. And I think that people will understand what we're doing here. And the 11 pages will be more than enough to get people interested, I hope. What happened this week for you that like made you not get your stuff done as much?
Well, let's see. I mean, it's just a particularly busy week. I mean, like when's my week not busy, basically? Because I work 42 hours a week. Yeah. So just on top of that, and then just let me think. The girls. What other excuses can I feed you? No, but of course, since the new expansion of WoW has been out, I've been a little bit leaning into that too much.
So when you said excuses, you meant lies, Steven.
Lies. But Brandon and I did hit, for any WoW connoisseurs, Brandon's going to Vegas tomorrow. He's going to be gone for a week. So Brandon and I had to get some of our time in today. But we hit 1.8 already for the first the arena season just started. So we're doing pretty good. We're at 1.8 already as Holy Paladin Arms Warrior for any WoW players out there. But beyond that, I mean, just your run-of-the-mill things like keeping the house in order because we're
Mhm.
gonna be hosting Christmas in the next week or so. So doing like a lot of cleaning that we don't normally do just to make
Right.
sure everything is looking great. Because some uncle or some aunt will run into a different room and
Mhm.
oh my god, this room that no one ever goes into has to be spotless also. Um, but yeah, and then just kind of I wouldn't say I had like artist's block,
Okay.
but that last silly little panel of just like the vinyl burping,
Mhm.
I literally redrew the blues on that like
Yeah.
20 times. I just could not figure out what I wanted, and I got one that I think looks good.
Cool. For me, it's been okay, so my son Atlas is in virtual school. I me I have got way overwhelmed with the amount of emails that the virtual school has been sending me. Like, well, okay, so virtual school, they will send dozens and dozens of emails throughout the week. Just dozens, like so many emails. And the problem is it becomes impossible to tell which emails are important and which are just trash.
Just
Because
faculty bullcrap.
just faculty, yeah, just nonsense, just stuff that I don't need to know, that no one needs to know, or just like well-intended things that are like, here's this party that you're probably not going to attend because it's on Zoom and you have a life and you don't want to do this because you're doing other things with your child at that point, or you're working, or But and I understand, but I can't unsubscribe to the school because they actually send important information every week. But
man, that's some messed up stuff. That's like if like junk emails like
yes,
suddenly sent you like your bill.
yes,
Like
exactly. It's
here's
exactly
a bunch of
what it is.
coupons, but also you owe us this amount of money. We're just gonna secretly sneak this in here. And
Yes.
if you don't pay this bill, we're gonna get you.
Yes, so it's like 90% junk. So what ended up happening? And it's my fault for not sifting through well enough in the beginning because immediately it was like that. It was immediately like, here are 12 emails, and I'll read 3 of them, and I'm like, I don't need to know any of this stuff. Like, okay, this is fine. It's all really basic stuff. It's like if you were like, hey, I want to know how to draw the tick, and someone was like, okay, what you have to do is you get this thing. This thing is called a pencil, and this thing is made with lead, and this thing is made with wood. And you're like, no, like you need to get.
Listen, man, I know how to. Let's get past the shapes. Let's get past all of that.
Yeah, but that's what every email was like, where it was just like you start to feel like when you call IT for any reason, if you're desperate and they're like, and you want to just look at them and be like, listen, I already did the power cycle. I already unplugged it. I already did this. Like, I did all the things that every moron has to do that you're telling everyone to do. I turned it off and on again, and it's not working. Please help. But like I can't do that because it's email. So it's just like, so I have to sift through it all, and it's all nonsense. But what I missed, Steven, or what I misunderstood, was that there are some things that are mandatory to print and do every week, and I was doing those because they're mandatory to print and do. What I mistook was I thought those were the only assignments that he had to do that were mandatory every week. There were other assignments that were exams that were mandatory that were on the computer every week that I did not recognize. So what ended up happening was my son and I realized the day before everything was supposed to be due that he had about 6 quizzes, like mini quizzes, like 6 questions each,
36 questions.
like about 36 in all 4 classes. So I was like, oh my gosh, and I panicked. And I started panicking. I was just like, oh my gosh, we have to do these. Come and get in this room. Like, it's time to, it's time to like
it's
do
crunch time, boy.
It's crunch time. Like, yeah, put on your kindergarten pants. We're doing this,
Crunchitize me, Captain.
So
sorry. That was me trying to get kick rocks happening, basically. I really, it's the funny thing is, I said it in my head twice. I'm like, I'm gonna say it. He's gonna like it. He did like it. He did not pick up what I was putting down. And now I feel stupid.
That's so funny. That happened to me a couple of weeks ago where you said something and I thought of a joke and I was like, oh, I should say it. And then I didn't say it. And then time went by and I was like, but now I can't say it. Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, so like, but I think it makes
it's
better to just say it, I think. So we did all of these assignments. But like, while it was happening, my whole body, because here's the thing. I realized the night before, because his grades, it said he had an A or B in all 4 classes, A, B's, right? And I was like, okay. And suddenly, though, that night, they changed to F's and D's. And I was like, no, I'm a failure. Like, what? I'm a
This is my fault.
This is all my fault. Like, he did all the stuff he's supposed to do. So I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm a terrible parent. Like, I was like panicking, right? And I thought all of the grades were due the next day by noon. So we woke up and we were just like I was just like, it's breakfast time. And then this is what we're doing with our day. I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You know? So like I ran him through all this and we did all these tests and stuff. And we got his grades up. And it turns out that the grades weren't actually due until Wednesday next week. Yeah, this coming week. I had such a like super anxiety panic attack. Like you ever, I don't know if, I think we talked about this before, not in the podcast, but like I get like physical waves in my chest of like depression, like really bad. Like it's just like I feel it, and it feels like my body just goes in like pure fight or flight mode with my own brain, you know? Like it's just like it wants to beat up I want to beat up myself, you know? Or it's just, and that's just what the depression is just constantly, you know, being in that fight or flight mode with myself, where it's like, do I run? Do I stay? Do I fight this? Do I fix it? How do I fix it? What do I do? What did I do wrong? Why did I do this? And then you have to like staying present in that moment is so hard. Like, it was so hard to not be like, you're an idiot for not recognizing this. You should have read every single email. Why didn't you do this? Like, you're a bad person. You're a bad parent. Everyone else is reading all these emails. Why are you so lazy? You know? Like, you know, so, like, I went through all those things. But, like, meanwhile, my body is sitting there in front of a computer passing kindergarten with my son, you know? Or I'm just like, we need to do this. This is what's important. Focus on this thing. But my whole body was going through those motions of, like, you know, like everything was more annoying, like just more annoying and frustrating to me. So anytime he wasn't paying attention, and although it wasn't his fault, I'm just like, I sensed myself getting like irate, where I was just like, oh no, you know.
Whenever I'm like in the throes of anxiety, I always feel so bad. Like I always like try my best to distance myself from Tina, because like it's like one of the basically side effects of anxiety is aggression, and like I can feel like when you're in that anxious state, when you're in that fight or flight state, like it's, yeah, man, like people around you end up getting sucked into this like, you know, horrible tornado of like anxiety and panic, which just, yeah. So I completely understand where you're coming from when it comes to that.
It's really hard. Thankfully, like, I mean, it's something I've been dealing with a long time. I'm sure, you know, you've been dealing with it a long time too. So I'm much better at dealing with it now and staying in the moment, at least objectively. Like internally, I'm on fire and crazy things are happening. Like it's just like it's Arkham Asylum in my body, you know. But externally, I'm Batman. Like externally,
dude, can I just say like how crazy? Like, and I know anyone with anxiety is just gonna go, "Yep," and like you're probably sipping your coffee, just agreeing. But like, it really is so crazy how real the physical symptoms of anxiety are. Like, I think that's why anxiety like wins like those little fights sometimes, is because it makes itself so real. Like it's not like, and it's nothing. Nothing is happening, but like your brain is manifesting just fear, like in chaos, and it's taking on physical form. It becomes more than just a mental battle, and it's just insane. Like I can't stand it. And you are someone that suffers from allergies as much as I do.
Oh gosh.
I have a feeling that a lot of our anxiety probably stems from that, like that breathing and like those issues like that. You know what I'm talking about. Sorry, everybody that has breathing anxiety issues.
Yeah. Manual breathing commencing in 3, 2, 1. Okay, big breath. But yeah, dude. So I was going through all of that. I was doing my best to just externally, mostly say, be stoic, just get through it and get him through it comfortably without him feeling like anything was his fault, because he didn't do anything wrong, you know. So we got through it. Everything was okay. And you know what was amazing though is like after that, it was gone. Like all of it was gone. Like I felt no stress, no pressure. Like there was nothing, no residual stuff. Like, you know, when like you really get in an argument, or like there's a real fight, or like there's something that happens, and then later on you're still kind of feeling it, and you're still like
you're
in that moment,
recovering basically.
You're in that recovery stage, and like I didn't have that at all. I was just like just like shrug my shoulders, and it was gone. Which it was. I was so happy. It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So I have something I want to run by you, Steven. I want you to imagine. Okay. How familiar are you with the story of the Grinch, Steven?
Familiar with various stories of the Grinch. I'm familiar with the Ron Howard capitalist.
There you go.
Capitalism is evil story, and I'm also familiar with just the original story. He just doesn't like the Who's. So go ahead.
Okay, cool. You know the Grinch song, right? Like the
You're a mean one,
yes.
Mr. Grinch.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Okay.
Seasick crocodile. Yeah, gotcha.
So okay. So, Steven, do you remember what the Grinch had in his soul based on the song?
You got garlic?
Yes, sir. Now let me explain something to you. Steven, by the end of the Grinch, there's no longer garlic in his soul. Not only that, Steven, but the Grinch's heart grows 3 sizes. It's 3 sizes in his chest. So now, not only is there no garlic in his soul, but there's more blood pumping through his body.
Oh, I think I know where you're getting with this.
Steven, what if the Grinch was the only thing keeping vampires away from Whoville? Steven, what I'm selling to you right now.
I want to draw this now.
Steven.
Is this going to be something else that I draw?
Steven, Van Helsing. Steven. Steven.
Oh, it's good.
Steven, I'm selling Van Helsing to you right now, and you need to buy it. I need it. I need you to understand. Steven, imagine Cindy Lou Who. Just imagine her standing outside of someone's door because she was recently bitten by a vampire. And now Cindy Lou Who is going through the town just taking out adults. And yeah, imagine how amazing that would be. Steven, people sharpening candy canes and truffle trees, going after vampires. Van Helsing, Steven.
Can the Grinch be like the like? Now is Grinch the first victim, or is he the Van Helsing?
Okay, I think that's definitely up for debate because it would be very shocking if, as the Grinch himself is carving the roast beast, vampires just break through the doors. Right? Or ding dong, the Who's are so innocent that, of course, little Cindy Lou walks to the door and says, oh, come in, join our feast. And the vampire says, don't mind if I do, of course, and, leaps onto her into the house, enters, bites Cindy Lou. Everyone looks up, and now, the Grinch is sitting there with a knife in his hand carving the roast beast. All of the Who's are around, and now suddenly it's a vampire massacre. So what happens I feel like the Grinch does have to become the hero at that point.
Main character, yeah, right.
He has to, because otherwise he's just the mythological catalyst that let vampires into the town, which kind of sucks for him. But
consider he just became so good.
Yeah, but I think he has to be that thing who he unwittingly was the hero of the town anyway by being so garlicky. By being a monster, he kept the other monsters at bay. And now that his monstrous side has subsided, the vampires are free to roam the city, and now he has to.
Looks like I gotta be a monster again.
Coming this Christmas. Yeah. So Van Helsing.
Van Helsing. I like it.
I think we need it. I think
is this a Pitches Get Stitches?
I think it's a Pitches Get Stitches on accident. Yeah.
Pitches Get Stitches.
So you're on board with this, is what you're saying?
I'm 100% on board. It's so funny because I couldn't remember what his soul was, but I was like, I think it's garlic. I'm singing it in my main one. There's a grand. I was singing it in my head. I'm like, garlic. He's gonna say heart. Okay, the heart. Oh man, he's going vampire, isn't he?
I mean, of course. Yeah, we needed it. So I want to see that. I'm not saying that you have to do it immediately, but I'm saying that I want a tattoo of it immediately. So draw it. No, I don't know. I don't even know. I was thinking about Christmas horror movies and how much fun it would be. How much fun it would be to have fun, a mall Santa turning into a werewolf and all kinds of those little cool things. But it's just we don't see those things enough, and so of course I found my way to the Grinch, and that would be a fun idea.
He had garlic in his soul, but he no longer does.
Yeah,
man, so, that's good. That's good. You're always using that brain of yours, that beautiful brain.
It has legs. Well, you know what it is. My job that I have takes no thought. Like there's no thought involved. And I mean, like customer service is really easy. I naturally know where everything is, or at least I memorized where everything is. So now it's just like it's so like autonomic now. Like I basically like, I can do my job as a robot. You know, like I can just grab something and my body knows where to go, you know? So like while that's happening, I just think about things. So, and then when that happens, it's basically a shower, you know? It's just like my body's in like auto mode. So yeah. So I'm an autopilot and I think about nonsense pretty much.
Which is awesome. So over on the Twitterverse though.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
At Wonder Bruno asked us a question that we could talk about tonight, and I'm going to ask it. And you didn't seem very, very confident in what answer you would have, but yeah. I think I might be able to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Basically, he wants to know like parenting in comics. So like I responded to him and said like how it's represented. He said agreed and yes, how it's represented or if it is at all. Reed Richards and Sue Storm are the worst parents, IMO, but people keep praising them as the best. Also, it'd be cool to hear from two dads what it's like to be grown up and geek out at the same time.
Yes, yeah, like that part of it, I understand. You know,
like I get where he's coming from, and like in my opinion, I feel like, and maybe it's just because who's writing and like what the basis of most comics are. But it does seem that most parents are either really bad or like just not that part of the writing isn't focused upon. Like, but you know who, like comics aside, you know who the worst father of all time is? It's Goku, man. Goku is the worst father of all time.
That makes sense.
He's horrible.
Of course he is.
He's the worst guy ever.
Yeah, I mean, not only is he neglectful, but he's constantly putting his child in danger. And
100%.
Yeah.
He literally dies at the end of the Cell Saga and asks to not be brought back. They could wish him back with everyone else. He's like, nah, I'm going to train in the afterlife.
Yeah. Goku is the worst father.
He's the worst father by far. But beyond that though, like what we were saying, being dads and geeking out, like it's awesome. I mean, like I just smother my daughters in as much nerd culture as possible. Like, but I think like a lot of people our age have basically taken those reins now. I don't think we're like exceptions anymore. What do you think?
No, I don't think so either. Okay. I think it's funny because we're probably not the last because it'll cycle back around and people hate it again. But I mean, I was definitely picked on a little in school for, like I remember kids like smacking comic books off of my desk and like saying like, oh, you think you're an X-Man, like stuff like ridiculous things that now for the most part would never happen because Marvel is so mainstream, the comic book movies are so mainstream and everyone loves them so much that I don't know, like comic culture and like nerd culture in general has become just the norm, which is really weird. It's become default, whereas it used to be sort of like a counterculture thing. So I think now people are going to start hating on comic books again just to be cool, which is kind of...
Everyone likes comics, so I'm going to start hating comics. Yeah. So cool kids are going to hate comics, essentially.
Yeah. Like I've met a couple of people at, previously at jobs where they've been completely against all comic book movies in general, which I think is kind of ridiculous because it's not even really a genre. It's just it's like a format or it's a tool that you use in movies like time travel. Like time travel isn't a genre. It's just a method of telling a story, like you can use time travel in a horror movie. You can use time travel in, any type of movie. Same with you can have a heist movie that's a superhero movie. You can have a horror movie that's a superhero movie.
100%. Like, dude, like, Winter Soldier is probably like one of the like coolest Marvel movies because it's a thriller, and like the way it's produced and it plays out like any CIA crazy like thriller would, and it's awesome that it plays out that way. It's basically like what you're saying. It's just the comic backdrop. It's just the characters that are being used. Yeah. It doesn't mean any, Like the. But I agree, man. I think it's. And yeah, it is silly when people are like that, like with just not wanting to watch comics.
Like superheroes in general and like superpowers or heroes, it's a narrative tool like anything else to tell a story, And if some people are going to use it, in a way that you enjoy, and some people are going to use it in a way that you don't enjoy, Like you can't really look at Man of Steel and Kick-Ass and see it and be like, oh, those are definitely the same kind of movie, like they're not. They both have heroes and villains and stuff going on, but they're just way different. And I can see someone loving Kick-Ass and hating, Man of Steel, and vice versa. So who knows? Well, as far as me and like the whole nerd culture and my son and stuff, my son is in love with things that I don't actually love myself. Like, he loves watching people play video games. The part that I'm really proud about, though, is that he uses it as a stepping stone of interest in, like, where he actually wants to play the video game. So when he'll watch something and he'll say, "Oh my God, Dad, can I play that Roblox? That looks like so much fun." I'm like, yes, I like that. Because basically it's fine. He doesn't have an arcade. He doesn't have like a brother to look at. So he doesn't have any other influences aside from me to show him new video games and stuff that are out. And I'm not looking at Roblox, So like, I do everything I can to just basically like shower him with like anything that I think he'd be remotely interested in, and whatever sticks just becomes a part of who he is, and I love it. I love watching it so much. Like, he likes some really cool songs, but his favorite type of music is music about video games, not even music from video games. He likes
like parody songs, basically.
He likes they're not even really parodies, dude. They're legit songs about Five Nights at Freddy's. It's crazy. Like,
there's original songs.
They're original, well-composed songs. It's like Atacore, I think it's called. I haven't looked it up enough, so I apologize for anyone who's way more versed in this than I am. But because I know there's like Nightcore and there are like all these different genres that I'm just like I'm not interested that much in learning about. So I don't have that much knowledge about it. But I'm pretty sure it's called Atacore. But it's just all of these different like animes and video games and cartoons. People spend all of this time composing, writing these lyrics and everything that are just, they sound like they're well-produced, legit, official songs for these things, and they aren't. They are just fans who are just into it, and they do it. Like, there's a Bendy and the Ink Machine song that he loves that I actually really like too, called Build Our Machine. Like, it's weird. So he has this whole little, personality and like all these opinions and with this nerd stuff that I don't actually love, but it's tangential and like it's close enough to the type of stuff that I love. And I really appreciate that we kind of have that weird bond where I'm not just only making him like the things that I like. Because like that's something I've always been worried about, is that I'm going to make him kind of I guess there's no problem in really being out of touch with your peers, but I've always felt growing up that, like, because I was given certain music and certain comics and stuff, that like I couldn't identify with most of the people in school. Like, I didn't like anything anyone liked. I always felt like an outsider, and like sometimes it's great, like I think that for the most part, it seems that the people who feel that way cultivate or craft some sort of identity that's, worth sharing with everyone else, that eventually becomes part of that collective, like it takes the outside perspective to kind of like pierce through that bubble and make, and kind of like change things a little bit. But that being said, it's like pretty lonely.
It's a very difficult path. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very difficult path, and like so. But that being said, he's not alone. We're not alone. Like this is all. It's just about finding your people, and it's just much more. It's much easier these days. Like right now, we're talking. like like if we didn't have the internet right now, then you and I would both be sitting in our respective rooms, liking whatever we like, and being like, I hope there's someone else out there because I didn't see anyone today. Like,
beyond that, I don't know. I think we've discussed this before, but Anthony and I do not like talking on the phone. So like we would not be calling each other, chatting like,
nope.
So how was your day? No, that would not be happening because I hate it just as much as you do.
Yeah, I never want anyone to call me ever. Yeah, so I feel like he is growing into his own little person that's so similar to the person that I am, or imagine that like
it's just who you would be if you were now. If you existed
that's
now.
Exactly what it is, and it's really interesting to see, and it's. So, it's kind of cool though, because it helps me as a parent, because I look at him and I'm like, oh boy, like if I get upset, like during a homework thing, or I look at him and I'm like, oh my gosh, how would I want my dad to have treated me if I was him in this situation? And it's just easier to empathize a little bit and put myself in his shoes and be like, oh gosh, he's me. He's just a little me, and it's just like, what would I do to myself? And, so I just
I get it, man. Like when it like exactly what you're talking about. Like Tina and I were talking about because like my girls like there's this one song called Hypa Hypa by Eskimo Callboy, and they are a German dance hardcore band. And like I like Tina and I were talking like our kids don't know any mainstream music. They straight up rock out to Euro dance hardcore is what they're listening to. They're 5 and 3 years old. Like their taste of music by the time they're teenagers is going to be so convoluted and deep that like I'm not even going to be cool. Like I'm not even going to understand the layers of music they think they understand. So it's so funny to me. Like it's so great. Like if you're listening to this podcast, I implore you, type in Eskimo Callboy Hypa Hypa. You will not be disappointed. It is
amazing. I can't wait to listen to this after the podcast. I've never heard it, so but yeah, it's funny. Because now I'll probably show that to him, and then they can bond over that when we eventually hang out again.
She's got her classmates singing it.
No way.
One of her classmates like went to go get their haircut by Tina, and she was going hypa hypa, and she was singing it. And like so Cammy's going to school and like sharing it with those kids, and like so all these kids are singing Euro dance hardcore music, and no one knows what they're singing. No one knows what they're listening to.
Oh no, it could be bad. It could be really bad, Steve.
I've just created a new subgenre for American music in like 10 years. All these kids are going to grow up and they're going to be influenced by these weird influences, and it's all going to be because of me. Because I'm a pioneer, okay, people? That's what I am.
Yeah, Stevie Wildcard pioneer. Dude. So I was about to move forward in the Twitter thing, but Michelle asked right before we were going to start recording. Michelle wanted to know how the holidays have affected our creativity, and if like the seasonal depression has like hurt us, or if it's just like the crazy chaos of everything has gotten in the way, if that's how we work through that, or if we have, or because she's having a lot of trouble getting anything done basically. So
and I can only imagine with her and like how like her life plays out, like how busy she is. But like for me, like for example, that one week where I thought I was gonna get a lot done, Thanksgiving, and like I didn't think about those things getting in the way. But see, we're in Florida, so we don't really get seasons here, so we don't really have like that whole seasonal shift when it happens out here. Like we basically just have beautiful sun every day. But I will say, like the second part of the thing you were saying, yes, holidays definitely do like complicate things because there's just, for example, I host Christmas dinner, so all my family lives in this area, so like my like close family members are gonna come over for dinner, and I'm gonna have to have the house prepared for them, this and that. So I mean, yeah, that Christmas week is gonna be crazy for me because I'm gonna work the first 3 days, probably work a half day Christmas Eve, and then have to get ready to host a big Christmas dinner while simultaneously shopping for nephews, family, friends, and things like that. So yeah, of course, there's definitely some factors in play right now that are definitely slowing things down.
I've been collecting gifts all month for my son and my parents. So I have all these random boxes just around my room in my house, and they're just weighing on me because I know I should start wrapping them. I know I won't. Every year it's the same. Every year I just wrap them all on Christmas Eve, and I stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, it'll be fine. Everything's fine. I put on like Jingle All the Way or something, and I just watch them and wrap. But up until that moment, I stress out about it the whole time, and I just think, yeah, what else should I be doing? The holidays have been hard for me because I work in retail, and we're open later, and it's most of the time it's fine. Sometimes it's exceptionally stressful, and it gets really busy and really stressful, and everyone's a little more on edge and a little worse than they should be, and they just everyone makes everything a little bit harder than it should be, especially now. And of course I wish I could do something to change that. Can't do it, so I have to try to just live, just suffer through it. I've been coming home at 10 o'clock at night, and basically Atlas is in bed almost asleep, and I kiss him goodnight, and then I have to come in, like I go in my room. Sometimes I don't even get to eat because I don't have enough of a break to really like have a substantial meal at work, so I end up eating at like 10 o'clock at night, or so it's just like it's
and don't show it at all because your metabolism is fantastic and mine is horrible.
Well, Steven, you see, I probably have some sort of worm in my body that I don't know about, and I don't want to
lift
know.
heavy things all day, and this is what I got.
Okay, you know what? Let's okay. As far as bodies are concerned, right? Like I have this like skinny little like skeletal body that I don't like. I want to fix it, Steven. I figured like okay. Um, I figured I'm not dating, right? I'm not dating. I'm writing. So if I have so during the day when I'm with Atlas, I can't I can't write, but what I can do while I'm watching him in school or while I'm like waiting for him to eat and saying like, please take a bite. Come on, eat, please eat. You have to eat something. While I'm doing that stuff, I can exercise a little, you know? So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to become a superhero, Steven. I think my plan is I'm going to, how long do you think it takes? How long do you think it takes to go from like a skeleton person to like a, oh look, he looks like he might be able to be like a Superman for Halloween or something. Like,
6 months. I would say if you were serious for 6 months, you could probably get pretty stacked.
yeah. Okay. No, but I don't want to be one of those guys who's just like, if I don't work out, my pecs become, breasts. Like I don't want to have to always maintain in order to not hate myself. Like that. That mode. Like I think that like. Here's the thing.
I think your only option then is the Ryan Gosling, right? And that's it.
What is it? What, like work out really hard, look really, and then
just like a lean, good-looking frame. Basically, like 5 pounds more muscle what you have now.
That's pretty much that's all I really want, Steven. I don't care. Like Here's the thing, Steven. I hate talking about this. All right, I hate talking about this, but I think I'm a weird enough person to have conversations with people and make my looks go from like a whatever they are to at least 3 above that. Right? So like however people rank me, whenever we have a conversation, if we're people.
Listen, Anthony, the scale is 1 to 10. You can't go higher than 10. You can't gain 3 off of 10. You're already at the top. Just stop.
I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna edit all this.
You better not edit this out.
I have to, Steven. Like, okay, my biggest fear with this nonsense. My biggest fear when we talk about like looks and stuff is that people are going to see it and be like, oh, he thinks he's good looking. And then they're going to start saying mean things about me, Steven. And I can't take it. I can't. Like, here's the thing. If someone doesn't like something I like or something that I do, I don't care. Like, I have no concern, zero concern. If someone's like, Madman's a dumb comic, I'm like, your opinion is irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all. Like, it doesn't change the way I feel about the things that I love. If I make something and I'm like, I really love this, and someone's like, that's garbage, I'm like, it's irrelevant. I really like it the same way I really like pizza. You couldn't come up to me and be like, pizza's gross, and make me change my opinion of pizza. It's like, yeah, like, yeah. Oh, let me rethink this. Like, no, like, of course, it is a thing that, for whatever reason, it's pleasing to my senses. Just let you know, like, I wrote this thing, I enjoy this thing. I might be insecure about it sometimes, but someone's opinion of it isn't going to change the way I feel about it, However, if someone's like, you're ugly and skinny and I hate you, I'm like, oh no. And, like,
these are things I can't alter and things I already worry about.
So I am.
The only people that would say anything like that would just be jealous dudes. So I wouldn't even worry about it.
I guess that's true. I don't know. It's.
Have you ever had a single female point out a physical flaw in you?
I have this pimple here, Steven. No, I don't know. It's weird though. I don't know. Like, but like I was okay. So what I'm saying is like, so I'm a skinny guy. Like I'm not like traditionally like a manly looking dude. I'm a skinny guy. I'm kind of like, I don't know, gawky and like goofy, but I talk about stuff and I ask weird questions and people seem to be interested in the nonsense that I have to say when I'm talking to them in person. So, and that's good. I mean, but like it helps. And that's obviously not everyone. Like, I'm sure those people, Steven, those people when you start a conversation and you're like, hey, so, and you look around, you try to like gauge, like, what do we talk about? And it can go like the spectrum of like potential conversation can go from anywhere. Of course, it starts at weather, right? Like everyone knows it's just like, hot out, huh? That's when everyone sucks. Like if anyone ever mentions weather, it's because they think you suck to them. Like that's what it is. If I ever mention the weather, it's because
You're not good enough, sir.
It's because we have nothing to talk about. If I mention the weather, it's because I did the mental math in my head. I did all of the like social conversational math that would amount to what your possible responses would be if I mentioned anything. And I'm scared and I don't want to deal with it. But so there's this whole spectrum of conversation from like weather to the thing that you're like most nerdy about and like the thing that you've just like been in love with for the longest and just like could just stand on a soapbox and shout to the moon about, you know, forever. And you don't meet those people a lot. Like you don't like, I don't know, like what do you think yours would be? Like Coheed and even like the Deer Hunter, man. I'll start like going off on like, no, the Deer Hunter is this amazing band. They have this crazy concept and it's so cool. Like Coheed's is great. It's like space, you know, it's like Star Wars, but like the Deer Hunter is like a more realistic, and I'll start going off and then like, you're like, you know, you can just see the interest, like, yeah, the soul dies in their eyes.
If I could just take what I feel about this stuff and let you see it, you would understand. But alas, here we are. So yes.
Yeah, so you know, so I have that whole.
I've never heard the Deer Hunter.
So,
Act 3 is an amazing album. Get to it.
But that's basically what I feel when I go on dates and stuff. Is I gauge that immediately. I gauge that before we actually go on dates. That's how I like know how to go on, like who to go on dates with. I don't understand how people date, Steven. I don't get it. Like okay, Steven,
I know absolutely nothing about that.
I know. But here's the thing. Okay, so obviously I'm not dating right now, but I still talk to people about dating and like about being lonely and that sort of thing. People are so pessimistic and cynical about dating in general, and just like I've heard a lot of people say that they've been on so many bad dates, and I don't really understand how it happens. Like I know that we live in an alternate reality from women and single women. I know that. Like I live in a completely different universe than the average single woman, you know, or just woman in general, you know. But that being said, there's still levels of like thresholds you have to pass before meeting someone in person. I have to like go in and learn about someone to a certain extent to know that it's someone that I can sit across the table with and never want to bring up weather. You know what I mean? Like before I ever meet someone, I have to know that there's zero chance that I'm interested in the weather when I'm in front of them. You know, like we at least have this much of the spectrum to talk about. You know, like it doesn't have to get all the way to the end because that's rare. Like it's like insane to find that. It's mostly only in like online fandom communities that you can get that lucky, you know. But if you can get somewhere on the, you know, the stronger, sillier side of the spectrum, then it's a more enjoyable date, you know. And I don't know if it's just people don't have as dedicated interests or what it is that, you know, like maybe people are embarrassed to love the things they love sometimes. I don't know, you know, but I know that whenever I do go on dates, I love just meeting people who can also, you know, geek out about similar things, you know. So that's kind of how it's been for me, and probably why I'm so lonely and why Twitter is my girlfriend now.
Listen, man, I'm your girlfriend, okay? I hate generalizing because it makes me sound like we have some sort of like we're superior to the thought process of other men or something. And that's not what I'm trying to say. But like, I think of like in school and stuff, and like, granted, we're long since removed from that atmosphere, but like outside of like our own circle, man, people just seemed so boring, you know?
I know what you mean. I'm sure everyone feels that way, to an extent, yeah. Right? Like, everyone has to feel like every once in a while I'll look at a couple and I'm like, how did you meet? Like, first of all, I know nothing about relationships. Clearly I can't, like, whatever. I'm going to say it's bad luck. No, I don't know. But, like, I haven't found my person yet, and I think maybe sometimes I'm too picky, in, like, a terrible, like, Seinfeldian way. But sometimes I look at people and I'm like, I don't understand what your bond is. Like, I don't understand what you have that complements one another. You know, like, I don't understand what you bond over other than sex, you know, because to me, it's just, that can't be it. Like, that can't be enough. There has to be something else. Or else I'd get so bored. And I also, it's not even just boredom. Like, I'm so specific. Like, okay. Like, I think the thing that I'm most jealous about with you and Tina is forever, Steven. Forever, Tina has always shown interest in knowing what you're doing and writing and reading. Like, okay, remember when we were reading like what was it? The X-Force? Or no, it was New Avengers, I think. Was it New Avengers? When it was like it was one of the two. Anyway, we were reading comics, and I just remember like Tina just like getting a snack and being excited for you to sit and tell her about it. Like,
yeah, and she's still like that to this day. Like she like I can't wait for you to tell me about it. Like if I read something or I watch something, she's like wants me to like fill her in. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she's definitely amazing with that.
Yeah, and that's like a beautiful thing, but it's obviously very special. And it's not as it's it doesn't happen as frequently as you'd imagine. And so I wonder, like what other people are bonding about. And I don't understand it. And I think they're probably also looking at me and saying like, whoa, what's that guy do? Only talk about like the Mandalorian or something, or whatever thing they're assuming about me, just like I'm assuming things about them. So I don't know. I think like in that sense, as long as we understand that like we're all kind of boring to people who aren't like us, right? Mm-hmm. Like to someone who only loves football, nothing I do matters, And like,
hey, it's so funny because I was going to say football, like who watches football, but it's like, I mean, who watches a blue guy teleport and fight a dude that lifts metal up? I mean, who does that? And I'm like, you know what? Fair point, buddy. You got a fair point. Yeah. At least you're watching tangible people play a sport that you want. I don't understand. I don't understand why you root for a team. Okay. You're not playing that game.
Steven, what is football if not the battle for the Infinity Gauntlet? Right? Like, it's just two warring factions coming together to fight. It's kind of funny. I don't know. It's weird.
Football would be way more entertaining if what the mascot they represented was what was fighting each other.
That would be really cool, of course. What would be the best game then? Okay, wait.
The Titans would beat almost everybody, first of all.
It depends on which Titan, right?
Yeah, I guess it could be that sloppy Rock one. The Rock one was never really that good, right? He was always bad at his job of being a rock guy. It was the wind guy that always seemed to be the most dangerous.
Of course, he's the most
dangerous. Fire, too.
We're also in Florida, so it's like that's our type.
Oh, wind.
That's what we have to see. Yeah, we suffer through that guy. I don't know. How big is the jet?
Yeah, I guess if it's like a 747, it could like rip a Titan asunder, right?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, what's on that jet?
I will say this: some of the weaker people, Steelers, they're just dudes that work with metal. Like they don't really got much going on for them. Like they're just like, hey, oh my God, the Lions are coming! Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? A pack of Lions?
There are literal Cowboys on the field, Steven. Cowboys versus Bears would be funny though. So,
Vikings versus Raiders, that would just be like a pretty fair fight. Actually, we should see that one. Dolphins would just have like. They would have. There's no chance. Just,
wait, where are they fighting, Steven?
I mean, I guess home turf. Where are they fighting? Right? I mean,
a jet versus.
Is that why homes matter so much? Like, if you have home base, like, is that why they want home?
So, yeah, I guess you're right. Though it would be more interesting. But to some people. I think it's a matter of just choosing and having faith in the thing. Like, I think they choose loyalty, and then because of that, it just becomes important to them. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's the thing with us is we can't really just choose loyalty if there aren't other factors involved. Like, if I knew that one particular team, like, believed certain things, it might be different. If they were like, oh, yeah, we're the team that we steal everyone's rubies. Like, something stupid. Like, obviously, I used a very, very specific example. That means absolutely.
I hope it's the Oakland Raiders, or are they the Oakland Raiders still? I don't even know if they are.
Dude, but like if they had some other things about them aside from just like this is where they're from and this is what their color is. Because I don't care about any of that stuff, Like I don't care about I don't care about that stuff at all, and I'm bad.
I hear that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play for people that want to have podcasts about comics specifically. That's what I hear.
Yeah,
I hear that Tom Brady joined them because he wanted to fight for that cause. So that's who we're rooting for.
We're rooting for Tampa now. And we're kind of from there. We're close. So
It's the closest thing. We're Tampa adjacent, so we're gonna.
I do think it's pretty funny though. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could fix football, but I don't think you have to because there has a bunch of
It's
people.
got a following. I mean, it's not for
You know what?
us.
I think one day it might be pretty popular, Steven.
I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket, but you know, it may come through.
So yeah, I don't know, but I don't think you're like a jerk or anything. I don't think you're like the worst person for I don't think like you're a complete monster and you should feel ashamed of yourself for generalizing people. I don't think you're like some sort of super villain. I don't think like, no. But no, I don't. I
Listen, you all suck and I don't. That's what I'm trying to say.
So, no, I think it's reasonable. I think we all get into those modes of just like, I don't get it. I don't want to sit across from. Okay. You know what? Just once, Steven. You know, I always said there are thresholds. So when I was dating, right? When I was dating, what I would do is I would like talk to people and I get to know them a little bit, and like it's always the same. If you look at a dating app, right, you see things from the most superficial perspective immediately, just like you would in real life, right? Like you walk by someone, you only see what they look like. You don't know anything about them. You don't know who they are. You don't know their name. You don't know what they love. You don't know anything, right? Like you just superficial scan, like have the Terminator box pop up and say like, you know, potential female, like whatever, you don't know, you know, just like possibly this age to this age. You're trying to do the math, right? So on the dating apps, you have that Terminator box already with their image, with their name, with where they're from, and you're like, okay, so you have to. Okay, so here's the thing: you have the opportunity to either choose based on superficialities, where you're just like, I like you or I don't like you, or you can literally look beneath the surface, which is hilarious. But you can click on it and see beneath the picture, which is more information about them if they so provide it. So you can learn about people, right? Some people don't write anything in their bio, you know, their profile, bio, whatever. Some people write very detailed, you know, descriptions of who they are or what they love and or what they don't want and blah blah blah. So you like that's like the first threshold, right? Like you can choose to learn more about someone and then based on that choose whether or not you like them, right? So there was one time, Steven, one time and one time only, that I let someone, I saw someone, they had no information, zero information. I was just like, I honestly don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I'm attracted to you. I can't tell from pictures. I'm like notoriously bad at that. I can't tell what people look like from pictures. I just can't. That's something I've learned about myself. I look at pictures and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Everyone looks cute. I don't know. What's the difference? And then I see him in person. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that looks like that picture I saw. Like a lot. It happens a lot. So, but anyway, so this time I saw a picture and I was like, yeah, okay, you look like a cute person. I can't tell anything about you from what you're wearing. I can't tell anything about you because you have no profile. I'm going to swipe and just like agree to like learn about you, right? So I swiped and we ended up matching, right? So, but here's the thing. My profile had all of this information about me, Steven. Like everything about me. I'm just like, this is who I am as a human being. Like, this is like, if you read this and you still swipe to agree with me, we shouldn't be talking about the weather. Like that's what it is. Like, you know, based on all this stuff that this is what I like. Basically what I did is I painted I painted a wordy portrait of that spectrum of like the positive spectrum of the conversation. And I was like, please like this stuff so we can talk about it. It'd be great, you know? So this person matched with me, which you'd imagine would be like, okay, cool. It's like she likes some of that stuff. She liked none of that stuff, Steven. Zero of that stuff. Nothing. None of it. Like, okay, but here's the thing. She wasn't adamantly against any of it. She wasn't like, I hate comic books or anything. And I mean, she didn't sound like that either. But she didn't like any of it. Like we had completely different tastes in music. She didn't even like movies. She didn't read. Okay.
Trust me with it. First and foremost, you cannot trust someone that says they don't like movies.
Yeah.
Just like whenever you see people that say they don't like music, like you don't like the one thing that makes us human, basically, is what you're trying to tell me. You don't like music. You don't hear a drum beat and just think it's the most amazing thing in the world. Like, you're a liar.
I don't trust you. I feel like something's missing inside. And you know, I'm sorry for your luck, but so she liked nothing. She liked nothing I liked, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go along with this and see why. I don't get it. Like, so I'm gonna explore this and see why. Okay, so because here's the thing, like I get it, superficial. Like she can be like, oh, you're not holding a fish, so like I'm gonna agree to swipe right on you. Like I'm gonna like you because you're not just like this another guy. Because we live in Florida, so I'm sure a huge majority of the people are just dudes who are holding fish. Just guys
Can
who
you
are
green
like,
screen a fish in my hand so I look like a Florida fish guy?
yeah, I'm not like Steven who just has to have a fish everywhere. Here's a picture of me with a fish, by the way.
I'm such a sportsman.
Oh, I did actually go fishing on Thanksgiving. Here's my fish. Check him out.
You actually do have fish pictures.
I do have a fish picture.
You should make that your profile picture.
That will be my
profile.
Next time I date, it's just gonna be fish pictures. I'm gonna see who likes me then.
Are bonito fish big?
So like whatever. Like so she didn't hate the way I looked, but she didn't like anything else about me, right? Like she didn't agree with anything. So I was trying to get through it, trying to figure it out, right? So I was like, okay, why? Like why would we continue to talk? You know, like I was basically asking her to just like explain. No time. Sum up. Like tell me exactly why you want to keep talking to me, because it makes no sense to me. Like unless like I either want you to just be like, I'm only here to hook up with people and I don't really care, which is like, okay, cool, I don't care. I'm not gonna judge you. I just want to know. I want to understand, because for me, I like as soon as you said you're not interested in movies, you became like persona non grata. I was just like, you're not the girl for me. Like that's
not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I don't really like if I can't make a joke about Ferris Bueller, I don't want to live. Like I don't want to be in that.
What's this all even been about?
So I agreed to meet her. I was like, let's go. Let's get dinner. Let's do this, right? And I intentionally, for the first 20 minutes of the meal, didn't try to make conversation the way I normally would make conversation. I just kind of let it happen just to see what she would do, because like I was very confused. I was like, because I was like, I can't talk about movies, I can't talk about things I like, really. She doesn't like any of it, so let's just hang out, see what happens. So she didn't really talk about much for the first couple minutes, kind of like oh, so you know, she asked me where I was from and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is all this side of the spectrum, and this is not the conversation that I ever want to have, ever. Like it doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter where I was born. It doesn't matter. Like this is not. You can know this later. This is why origin story should start off with an explosion or something, and then later on you'll learn where I'm from. Like I don't have the capacity to sit in dinner with a stranger and be like, so let me tell you, just like I told all of the other ones, exactly where I'm from and how old I was when I moved and what it's just like that part of it is so tedious and not really essential to knowing who someone is in the moment, you know. So anyway,
just facts about my life.
Yeah, it's just facts. It's facts. I could bullet point that in 2 seconds, and it's just not interesting to me. You know, I'm like, oh, whatever. And some of it is interesting, and you get to the interesting parts of those things for sure, but not what I was looking for. So anyway, so eventually we just started talking about dating in general, and I learned she had so many horror stories of different guys, and I was like, oh, it's because your standard bar, or like your bar has been lowered so much that you're like, oh my gosh, just please don't be a monster. Like if you don't try to rip my hair out and eat it in front of me, I will be happy and marry you. Like that's where the bar has been set.
Sounds like she needs to get James Cameron in her life to raise that bar. That's what she needs.
Yeah, dude, it's true. But dude, so I did meet someone, and so we had nothing in common. We met the once. So afterward, afterward, it was pretty funny. I don't know. I don't think I was a jerk here, Steven. I know prefacing anything like that is gonna make you think that I was a jerk. I don't think I was a jerk.
He was.
Thank you, Ron Howard. No, okay, so I'm gonna tell you, so the way that date ended was with me being kind of nonplussed, just kind of, I didn't really, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I expected to happen. It was a little interesting just seeing what someone else's perspective was like, as far as what they think a date should be or can be, or what they think a relationship can be, because she was very adamant that oh, opposites attract, and we don't have to like the same stuff, and it was like, we don't have to like all of the same things. That's my opinion, is we don't have to like all the same things, but we have to have some things that harmonize. We have to have some things that like complement one another, or some things that you have to like. I have to be interested at least enough to want to know what your stories are about. You know, like whatever that whatever you're doing, I really want to be interested in it. So anyway, but that's not really what happened at the end of the date. So I was just like, all right, well, thank you for meeting me, and I paid for dinner, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna get going. And she was like, you're not gonna drive me home? Now here's the thing, I didn't drive her there. Like we met there. We met there. We had not discussed me driving her home. It was now like, I don't know, like midnight-ish. Like it was like, yeah. So we went to like a ale house. It was late, but not too late. And I was like, where do you live? What? Why do you want me to drive you home? I don't understand what you're talking about right now. And I was very confused because
well, I mean, it was obvious she wanted you to come in, right?
I don't know, Steven. I'm not.
Come on, man.
How, you say you're not,
Steven.
Tina. I only have Tina, and how am I picking up on stuff that's being put down that you aren't, Mister Dating Profile?
Okay, I did pick up on that. Okay, I assume that is. I did. I assumed that. Okay, but I didn't.
I'm glad you're being honest now. I'm glad you're being honest.
Okay, I assumed when she said you're not going to drive me home, I assumed that what she wanted was anything more than what we had already just accomplished, which I didn't want to do because I didn't enjoy what we had just accomplished, Steven. I was just like, I didn't enjoy any of this. I didn't want that. So I was like, I don't want to go back to your house. I think one of the main things is I never want to become someone's like bad story they're going to tell to someone else about how they use them or something, like some nonsense where I'm just like, no, like I don't want to give you, if anything, I want to be the guy who you had nothing in common with, who didn't drive you home, which you can think I'm a jerk about, but I don't want to be the jerk who makes that sort of mistake. So I was like, no, thank you, So anyway, so I talked to her, and she was like, okay, I'll just get an Uber, or I'll just get a Lyft or whatever. So she called, and I waited with her, and the ride came, and I just remember there was some very, very, very drunk girl in the Uber already. Like she did one of the rides where you're riding with someone else. So, and I was like, oh no. And she got in the car, and I was like, this is going to be an interesting text later. And so she wrote home, and like, she kind of texted me, like very flirty, nothing like overt, but she texted me flirty things later. And she's like, I was hoping you would drive me, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm not good at any of this. I don't know why I don't get it. Like you're fine. You're a nice person, but we're not the people for each other. Obviously, like to me, it's obvious. I don't understand, So
it goes back to what I said, which is that you're a 10 and you don't need to raise the bar any further, Anthony. Here's the thing is like, yes, you could be right. It could be the whole bar thing and she meets a bunch of horrible men, or you could be physically attractive and she could look past those things that she doesn't get along with you with.
But I don't want them to look past that, Steven. I want to be a luscious.
This is your unfortunate werewolf. This is your curse. This is your cross to bear, good sir.
You are guaranteeing, if I leave this in the podcast, you're guaranteeing I'm going to get bad comments in my life is what's happening. Like, it's just going to be like people are just going to be like, I hate that guy. No, but it just sucks, dude.
Because I'm the voice. It's not your voice. It's not like you're paying me to do this. So, I'm just kidding. He's not paying me, everybody.
I'm paying Steven to say nice things about me because I'm lonely and sad and no one cares. No, so yeah, I don't know. I do miss dating though. So what do you have planned next week?
Next week I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna try to wrap up 6 before you even post this. So I'm hoping to get final pencils on this. But if not, wrap up 6 and start 7. Yeah, wow, 7. That's awesome.
So next week I plan on getting as much done as possible. It's the week where my son goes with his mom, so it's always the week where I get the most done. The only thing I have to do is go to the DMV and work. So that's nothing I can write at the DMV, honestly, if I have to, if I'm there too long. So yeah, I should get my stuff done because it's an easy week for me. I'm hoping to get through at least 1 chapter, if not 2. I should be able to do it. So yeah, so that's a pretty good deal. And then I'm also I'm gonna start working on a bucket list of like potential guests for our podcast.
Oh man, that'd be so cool.
It's like fun.
Most of our like people that we like love and would love to meet and talk to probably aren't that far out of our reach, really. I mean, we could probably get there, man.
Well,
pretty awesome.
I feel like we love really personable, reasonable, cool people who
love people like us, basically. People that
I
don't
I
watch
didn't mean to
football.
compliment us as much as I just did, or as much as you just made it seem like I did. But yeah, pretty much people like us. I want to meet more people who are doing things that we are trying to do, basically, and other people who are in the same shoes as us or similar shoes. I would love. So if you're out there and you're listening to the podcast and you're doing what Steve and I are currently doing, it would be cool if like we didn't act like we were some kind of weird competition and we all just talked to each other like community and just shared one another's comic books like, you know, human people who love comic books, because that's what we do, right? So like if you have a comic book and you want to share it with us, we have a Facebook group and people have been sharing their full books on there and it's actually really cool so far. So go to facebook.com/groups/We Have Issues podcast and post whatever you want on there. We will check it out. We'll talk about it on our podcast eventually. Steve and I, obviously, you've heard, have been very busy lately. So, you know, but we're catching up and we always make time for these sort of things. And we'd love to hear from you and talk to you. If you have any questions for us, you want to just contact us about anything. Tell me that I'm a 3. Tell Steven that he's an 11, which he is.
I am not.
You know, if you or someone you know has access to grandparents and or ostriches, let us know. We are.
It's still the goal. It's still the dream. So
look, if you think ostriches and grandparents aren't on my bucket list, you're wrong. Like I am dead set on. We need to get at least your mom on the podcast. We need to get someone on this podcast who is a grandma and just be like, why don't you love us more? Actually, we just got Robin. Robin just added us. Welcome, Robin, to our new subscribers. She's Ashley's mom, who Ashley has children, and she makes Robin a grandma. So welcome to the colony, new grandmas. We welcome you with open arms. We love you. We are thankful to have you. We appreciate you all for listening. Please contact us on Facebook and Twitter, twitter.com/We Have Issues Pod. If you're only listening to this, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/We Have Issues Podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We love talking to you guys. So we hope you see you next week. I'm Anthony.
I'm Stevie Wildcard.
And this is We Have Issues. Thank you so much. See you next week.